We had the opportunity to fly over to New York to give Casey Neistat $1,000 worth of retro handhelds.
Okay, here we go. Oh my god.
But how did we get to this moment? It all started when Casey put up a tweet asking for advice about handhelds, and seeing as we have reviewed hundreds here on YouTube over the last few years, I thought I'd try my luck, sneak in his DMs and ask him if I can bring a briefcase filled with handhelds to him face to face. And to my surprise, he said yes. And this is what happened.
Okay, here we go. Oh my god.
So these are all of yours. These are a wide range of different handhelds, from a $200 beast to one of the world's smallest Gameboys.
There's a lot going on in here. So why don't I maybe take each one out and talk you through? Yeah. So what I want to know before we dive into these is like, none of these are OEM, like none of these are made by Nintendo, none of these are made by Sony. This is just like the core of these emulation devices. It's just a processor, a screen, and the amount of hardware needed to run the ROMs that are the core of these games, or the ROMs that are these games.
Correct.
Nintendo, if you're watching, know that in my lifetime I have purchased every single NES and Super NES and Nintendo 64 game ever made. So this is just a repurposing of my games. Okay, where should I begin? Should we go smallest to largest?
Yeah, what's tickling your fancy?
I mean, what's tickling my fancy is how many pixels can you fit in something that looks like this?
I think there's just close to 30 on that one. It's
30.
called the Thumby, for obvious reasons. This might be Tetris, I guess. You press yeah. So this is probably the world's smallest Tetris game.
This is playable.
Look at the pixels.
This is completely playable. It's funny. This is like doing extreme damage to my eyesight. Like I can feel myself being injured.
You could probably only get like 3 minutes of gameplay out of that
before you just can't see it all. Yeah. Okay, this is amazing.
$20, I think this one is.
Right, so this is built more as like a novelty than something that they actually expect people to play.
Look at that. Where'd it go? So this one is called the PocketSprite.
Okay.
Around about $40, $50. It pretty much does exactly what the Thumby does, but with ROMs. I haven't loaded many on there for you. This is just kind of like a...
So the Thumby is running some sort of like...
It's like its own little operating system.
It's ad hoc games and it's got it.
Similar with the PocketSprite.
These are homebrew games, not actual ROMs.
There are ROMs on there, so you can put ROMs like Game Boy, NES, SNES.
This is more homebrew.
Correct.
This is actual ROMs.
Yes.
Okay, amazing.
Again, gimmicky. The buttons on this one, they're not too good. It's
got it.
Yeah.
But like, I have 2 little daughters that would lose their mind over this thing. You know?
Exactly. You could put on whatever Kirby on there or Pokemon, whatever they're interested in.
Now, I have to say,
I love this one.
I know what this is.
Okay,
I'm a huge fan of this. I bought one when it was the Kickstarter.
Oh, amazing.
And then it lives in my car because my little ones are in the back. When they get really bored, I'll unplug it, hand it back to them.
Perfect.
And they'll like each take turns. But I think it's beautiful, and I customize my buttons to be the SNES, the Super Nintendo colors.
Yeah. Cool.
But I think like the interface and then just like the flip phone aspect of it, this is an amazing device. And I think what this does is this bridges a divide that like, whereas like these little guys,
unplayable in a way.
But they're novelties and they're charming.
Yeah.
This is like an actual
product.
Yeah,
sure.
that you can actually play and have fun with.
They're going to be so happy you said that because we have worked with them for a good couple of years.
Really?
Trying to get them off the ground, and they were nice enough to send that to you, and I got in touch. So they're going to be well happy that you've already got one. I'm a huge fan. Yeah, nice.
And the one that I have is like the original. Mine's probably a year and a half or 2 years old.
So if you want to do a bit of tinkering on that, you can. You can actually get N64 working on there, and up to PlayStation 1 game.
Huge Funkey fan. Like
They are cool.
I love this thing.
I want them to start building like maybe a better version of this, or they go into clamshell. That'd be really cool, but I think they're,
It's well done, and the price point's amazing.
Yeah.
Okay. So is this the Miyoo Plus?
Correct.
Oh, I have not handled it yet.
Yeah. So you've already got the Miyoo Mini. This is its bigger brother. Same specs, bigger screen, more comfortable in my opinion.
But this has Wi-Fi.
Correct.
I do agree. Like the Miyoo Mini is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing. Yeah. So I got it because my wife came home from like the pharmacy or whatever with like a shitty Gameboy looking thing, and she's like, you can play games in this, and I was like, oh, come on. So I ordered her the Miyoo Mini, and she sort of was like, what am I going to do with this? Yeah. And then we went on holiday with her sister, her husband, so my sister-in-law and my brother-in-law and their kids, and my wife and I. And for the 2-week vacation, the 4 adults we're passing around the Miyoo.
It's perfect.
Taking turns on it. It's amazing. My only criticism of it was that it still felt sort of like something like this, which is like the size and cuteness was a bit of a novelty.
Yeah.
You couldn't settle in for a 4-hour session where you're just...
Agreed. Maybe this one bridges that gap.
It immediately feels better in hand. So does this not run a better processor than the Mini?
No.
It's the same?
Yeah.
Huh. I never remember having...
So currently they're having issues to get all of the screens for the Miyoo Mini. There's just not enough access to screens.
Because nobody wants what was that, like 1.5 inch or 1/7 inch?
Yeah, I can't remember what it was.
But this screen is a more ubiquitous screen size. Yeah,
I think this is maybe 3.5.
I remember reading about that. Moving right along.
Interesting. Okay.
Why do you say interesting?
No, I thought you were going to go for something else.
Well, I was just thinking size-wise, this is the next one up in size.
So this is a newer device. This is called the Retroid Pocket Flip.
This feels incredibly premium.
Yes, basically it's this, just in a clamshell design. With USB-C, it can run up to Dreamcast and GameCube. I think you'll like this one. So this is the
non-clamshell one?
Yes.
Okay.
This is the Pocket 3 Plus, one of the most popular retro handhelds on the market right now.
This?
Sold, I would say, hundreds of thousands.
Really?
And it runs on Android, incredibly easy to set up. I've set this one up straight out of the box. But it kind of gives you a large screen capacity, good battery life, a lot of power in a PlayStation Vita-like design.
Right, like the buttons that they were going for clearly would emulate.
Yeah, like the D-pad is very similar to what Sony used in the past. It kind of got that Switch look straight out of the box. Super easy to give to someone who isn't too knowledgeable, and it goes all the way up to
Virtual Boy. Do you know I had a Virtual Boy?
Did you?
So after Nintendo gave up on Virtual Boy,
which
was a disaster. They were liquidating them at the store. Like they were selling them for very, very inexpensive. Like $40 or something.
What?
Yeah.
Box.
Wow. And I remember being like, I want this. And it was pretty amazing. I just remember how sweaty my face would get. And the weight of it, you couldn't strap it to your head. It was too big.
Right.
It had that table stand, so you just stick your face in it. And it was amazing. Like, it was really amazing. But it, the novelty just wore off.
It wasn't
too
easy,
quickly.
was it? I can imagine. And this one here, the Retroid Pocket Flip, came out like 3 months ago. It's the same specs, just people wanted a bit more battery life and a clamshell design. I think over the next year we're going to be seeing more clamshells come out. People just want them.
And this is a metal kit housing. Like, this feels very premium.
It's very premium.
Even the button feel, the click here.
The analog sticks, though, from my review, I'm not a fan of. They call these sliders, where these are just, kind of a bit more.
This one feels like the original PSP.
Yeah, or the Nintendo.
Less of a joystick and more of that slider.
This is the RG405M. They kind of like to go for build quality over anything, so this is a metal shell. These are around about $140, but can emulate up to PlayStation 2. So you can do a handful of PlayStation 2 games on here, and Dreamcast, GameCube, and all the way down to NES. They've got Hall joysticks as well, which uses magnets. So they're kind of, you know, these companies are adding more and more features to these devices. The more and more you get closer to $200.
And that's all just indicative of how the market for these was growing.
Yes. And as you can see here, the Linux OS is a lot more simpler. They're trying to make this simple out of the box now, and you just go in and download your ROMs.
Moving right along, and the one that I'm the most curious about.
So this one here was made...
Because this is actual...
This is a modded Game Boy DMG.
Isn't it?
Our friends over at Retroid Pocket made this for you. You know, it's slightly custom. Have you got any AA batteries?
Do I? The battery box. Okay. What are we looking for here? Double A.
So this is quite simply just an old school Game Boy with a new backlit display, so you can actually see your Tetris pixels now. I know you love Tetris.
What is this, like viscous liquid? Is this like battery acid that I'm rubbing all over my hands? Thanks, Amazon. It is what that feels like.
They're the proper ones. They're the Duracell ones.
I know. These are not generics. So good.
Look at that display.
Wow.
There's no more squinting. There's no more waiting for the lights to reflect on the screen.
Dude, I had like one of those things that was like a...
Oh, worm light.
Yeah, but it was even worse. It was like you flip one thing that was a magnifying glass, and then it had like the lights on the inside.
Yeah. So if you press this in, you can actually change the colors like however you want. So these mods are getting way more advanced.
Okay, I'll just keep playing this for days. God. I like that they tried to improve on Tetris with all these new Tetris games.
Yeah, yeah.
This is all
nothing beats the classic. This could be, I think, one of the greatest games of all time. Tetris.
I could not agree more. There's something so like almost intellectual about it. Tricky right there. I've got some blocks.
You know what you're doing there.
Yeah, no, this ain't my first rodeo. You know? Some people just go for the cheap lines, and me, I go for the Tetrises. They didn't name the game Tetris for nothing. I will be back for that.
Yeah. So yeah, that was just a little present from Retro Modding.
It's so good. Retro Modding. Thank you.
So this one here is the Analogue Pocket. This came out last year, and it's basically the 2022 version of the original Game Boy.
So my friend Sam Sheffer swears by his Analogue Pocket, but talk me through it. Like this is made to run hardware games like this, or this is made to run ROMs? Like
it was originally made to run the hardware. So it was originally made to run Game Boy cartridges and Game Boy Advance cartridges. They've also got adapters if you wanted to add in, I think it's like TurboGrafx and Neo Geo Pocket cartridges. But recently, Analogue are quite well known for wanting to preserve the gaming history, so they added in FPGA technology, which allows you to add in cores and emulators to play other consoles. So they've turned it into a Game Boy focused console that now you can add your own ROMs. Limited ROMs because you've only got a D-pad and 4 buttons, but enough to do all of your classics.
This is what my whole childhood looked like with portable gaming.
Yeah,
this thing.
But yeah, that's super sleek, $250. Like it's very premium.
And because they made this with a focus on the cartridges, they were able to sort of market it and put it out there in a more legitimate way. Yeah, because I remember they did cause quite a stir in the sort of the tech community when this came
But this
out.
is what Nintendo needs to do. They're always taking games offline, making it harder for us all to play original hardware, and that's why a lot of people are moving to emulation, because it's easy, it's accessible, where Nintendo need to be making their files and their games accessible rather than all these other companies.
Which brings us to this last monster.
Yeah, and last but not least, this is probably one of the best Android handhelds on the market, under $200. It's called the AYN Odin, and it can emulate up to PlayStation 2 very, very well. And as you'll see, it has like a full-blown Android operating system, really nice analog sticks. These will even light up in a minute as well, making it, there you go,
Wow.
fancy. And this is kind of...
And who manufactures this?
This is a company called AYN, another Chinese manufacturer that are just kind of, you know, investing loads of money into it. Android based, they've got their own kind of operating system or front end, and you can come out of it if need be and go into your Android operating system to add Game Pass or watch movies on it or whatever. But again, $200. You know, it's moving towards the Steam Deck territory where people want to stay away from. But for me, you get a good amount of battery life. You can use Android to your advantage if you want to use Xbox Game Pass, and it's super powerful, so you can play PS2 games. So I think this is the gap between, you know,
Sure.
affordability and your ROG Ally. I mean, there's a big price gap there, but it's not far off, really.
There's this big gap for me in gaming, which was like, I moved to New York City when I was 19 or 20 in 2021. I'm sorry, in 2001.
Right.
And then like, I was an adult and had jobs and like trying to figure out how to survive in New York City. So like, I didn't play video games from 2001, 2000 until like, you know, 2015 or something. Like no games in my life. I was just too busy. My focus was elsewhere. And I remember I bought a Xbox, an original Xbox, off of Craigslist for like $20.
Damn.
And being so blown away with how good it was because I had taken all that time off of video games. Yeah, I started during COVID. I started playing Call of Duty.
On a console?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was similarly like blown away with how good and how fun multiplayer online gaming was. I'd never played with it.
Wow.
So I was like, I don't know. I felt like I was in a time machine where I jumped from, you know, Nintendo 64, PS1 era gamer to like boom, 2020.
Yeah. So this is, you know, probably one of the best under $200.
And it's beautiful. I love beautiful hardware.
Very well made. They're like maybe a 2-3-year-old company. Most of these, maybe these guys are like 10, maybe 5. Miyoo's few. They're all
and this
very
is the
new.
focus, like the sole focus of their company. Like this is what they're building.
Yes, correct.
I feel like I could entertain an entire classroom of children with this suitcase
for
for days.
Yeah.
Like if we were trapped in like, if we were trapped somewhere, like to have this suitcase would just be entertainment for an entire group of people. Well, sir, thank you for both the toys and the education.
You're welcome.
I have a very small collection of emulators, but this is maturing my collection and knowledge.
Yeah, good.
Exponentially.
Good.
Being able to collaborate with Casey still feels like a dream. I've been watching his videos for many years now, and he's given me inspiration over that time to get in front of the camera and just create. So being able to talk with him for hours on end about retro games is such a massive privilege. And we actually managed to film most of it too. So in a couple of weeks, there is a interview focused video coming out on the channel that talks to Casey about his first gaming experience, what he used to play on as a kid, and what he's playing on now. So that's coming out in a couple of weeks. Do subscribe for that. And we also have a couple of handheld reviews coming out in the near future too. So stay tuned for that. And finally, check out our coffee table book called A Handheld History that is available to pre-order now on Amazon. It's shipping in September, and it's been like a year in the making. So do grab it if you're interested in handhelds. You won't be disappointed. There we go. I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.